Hey everybody, how you doing? It is Steve, and you know what time it is. It's time to get that information that you guys need. Today we actually have Kelvin Haynes on here with us, and Kelvin Haynes is running for commissioner in Lauderhill. So you know how it is. I like to try to bring you guys all the information that you need in order to make an informed decision. When it's time for you guys to go to the polls, you need to know what the candidates are about. This way, you can decide which candidate you need to vote for. So let's go ahead and bring Kelvin in and find out a little bit about him and what he's all about. Okay. All right. Hey Kelvin, how are you?
Hey, Steve, great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time and interviewing the candidates to keep the voters informed. I think that's a very, very great opportunity and doing such a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you being on the show. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we're gonna jump into your candidacy and what made you decide to run and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Kelvin Haynes. I am a resident here in Lauderhill. I was reared, raised, educated, and motivated right here in the city of Lauderhill. I am a single father. I have a daughter who is 20 years old, who's attending Florida Atlantic University to become a neurosurgeon. One of my main motivations actually for running is due to the fact that the city has become a dumping ground. I thought it's very important that people start to understand and start to realize that, because I've been involved in politics for over 30 years now. I've worked with several candidates, ran several campaigns, both locally and on the national level. So I do have an understanding and feel of what's taking place. I do a lot of work with the Broward Days organization, which is a legislative organization here in Broward County. There's also a Miami-Dade organization as well. And what we do is every year we go to Tallahassee to discuss the issues that affect the residents of our respective counties.
Mm-hmm.
In going last year, I noticed that there was a lot of changes that need to be done here in our city, particularly Lauderhill. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the main things that got me motivated and out and running.
So, okay, so now when you say the city has become a dumping ground, explain that a little bit because you're going to rub some people the wrong way by saying it, but please explain to us and let us know exactly what you mean by that.
Okay, well, the city of Lauderhill has a positive COVID-19 facility located right on 56th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
We were given information by our current commission that the state forced itself in here to help out the COVID-19 situation. One of the problems that we found out is that the state did provide funding to the city,
Mm-hmm.
but the city failed to provide any type of medical reviews for the residents, any notifications in regards to what's taking place and what's going on. So I feel that one, becoming a dumping ground by just placing these facilities right here in our community without any say so, without any input, becomes a problem. Number two, if you would look on my website,
Mm-hmm.
www.kelvinhaynes2020.com, you will notice that the city of Lauderhill is ranked 99 out of 100 worst cities to live in.
Wow.
We have the highest crime rate. We have the highest gang activity. The numbers located in our city are higher on the average than it is in the United States. I also conducted a search through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's website regarding sexual offenders and sexual predators. I utilized my own personal address. There are two schools which are located 2 blocks down the street from me, Larkdale Elementary and Wingate Oaks Learning Center. Wingate Oaks is a special needs school. So you would be surprised that when I went onto the site and did a research of 5 miles from my home, I have 1,026 registered sexual offenders living within 5 miles of me. So
What?
that became a concern.
Definitely, I would say so.
That's a concern. So what they're doing is, and according to the deputy chief, the city has allowed people to dump everything here, from COVID-19 patients to sexual offenders. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our schools
Mm-hmm.
are full. They're not dumping in good teachers. They're dumping in educators that are not either equipped or not willing to be equipped to handle the students that we have here in our community. So everything that's bad, everything that goes wrong, they just dump it into Lauderhill. So this is one of the main reasons why I say we need to change the focus in what we're doing, because we're becoming a dumping ground and it's time for it to stop.
You know, there's a lot that you're talking about that I wasn't aware of, and I mean, I'm very familiar with Lauderhill, and you're right though. When as you're saying it, and I start thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, huh? Now, what you the COVID-19 facility that you're talking about? What? Explain a little bit about what that is. What it's all about. Is it
Well,
somewhere that they're dumping people who are COVID positive, or what is it exactly?
yeah, what the state has done is they needed facilities to where they can place COVID positive residents
Hmm.
to recuperate. So the state decided to come to Lauderhill and take the facility called Inspire, which is
Hmm.
located on 56th Avenue, and place not only the residents from Broward County,
Uh-huh.
not only the residents from the state of Florida, but residents from around the United States can come to this facility to be rehabilitated and brought back into society. But the problem that I have with that is that we are not providing a 50-cent mask to the residents that are living in that area. Now,
Okay.
keeping in mind, oh, I'm sorry.
No. Okay. So basically, what you're saying is so they're bringing people from let's say Georgia or wherever, and bringing them to that area, and but the people that are living in that area aren't being taken care of.
Correct, correct.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the problem that we have with that is that the property values go down. The We're utilizing resources. So when we have a situation, we're utilizing our fire rescue services, our police services. The facility is not even providing additional security measures to
Hmm.
ensure that the residents that are there are maintained and taken care of. I don't know if you're familiar, but Channel 7 a few months ago did a study and
Hmm.
found several nursing homes located in Dade and Broward that were having these residents walk around the communities, going to the stores. You have people that were working in the facilities. They weren't even wearing PPE masks or uniforms or anything of that nature there. So
And
you can, I'm sorry. So you can
that
only
that
imagine.
that
Go
I
ahead.
can that I can attest to because I know from seeing people that are in the facilities off of 56 in Oakland, and they're walking around and walking through those stores and that strip mall, and yeah, I can attest to that. I mean, people are doing it, and they have been for years. And yes, you're right. Now thinking back down that street, especially when you go south on 56 from Oakland Park Boulevard, you go down the first not the one with the apartments, but the first house with the with I don't remember what street that is, but it's like a whole bunch of halfway houses down there.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what we have here in our city. We have a lot of halfway houses. We have a lot of neglected homes and properties here in the city, and we're not even addressing those issues. I don't know if you
Right.
realize it or not, but we in the city of Lauderhill have the highest millage rate in Broward County,
No, I didn't realize that.
second highest in the state of Florida.
Wow.
And so, in comparison to Southwest Ranches, which has 15 to $300 million homes, we're paying more in taxes than they are. We're not
Hmm.
even getting the same amount of services for the tax dollars that we're paying.
Right. Not
So
even
that's
close. Not even
not
close.
close. I mean, I would understand if you tell me that we have a great police department, that our fire department is absolutely wonderful, they come at your beckoning calls, but we don't have that. Our fire departments are understaffed. Our police departments are totally understaffed, and they're totally lacking the understanding of today's problems. We have gangs that are popping up in our cities that haven't been here before. People that we have now are living in these gated communities. And once you live in a gated community, you don't have to worry about the gangs, or so you think.
Right.
But those of us who don't, it becomes a problem.
Okay, so what would be your plan to change this? Should you win as commissioner, what's your plan?
Well, we have several items in our arsenal which we could use. The state has
Hmm.
allowed us to establish a neighborhood safe program, which would allow the city commission to select an area, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be 99% of the city. But what they do is we'll zone off areas within the city. The state then allows that particular area to raise tax dollars to utilize the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Florida Department of Legal Affairs, and the
Hmm.
Florida Department of the Elderly to come in and start assessing these areas. What they will do is they will provide technical resources. In other words, they will come in and say, okay, we see how your traffic patterns are. We need to alter those traffic patterns. So, in other words, when you have people just zooming up and down the street, we need to
Hmm.
create barriers to prevent them from crossing over to that side of the street. We need to create trees. We need to put shrubs. We need to have cameras. We need to have lighting. So all of these types of incentives would be brought in, and they would teach us and show us exactly where it needs to go, what we need to do, how can we deter the crime that's taking place. Because
Well, Well, you know what, and not to interrupt you, but the city had those things before. I remember when, and I mean years ago when Inverary had those things. They had plants hanging from the street lights, and they had, that waterfall was well lit and it was always up. And I mean, they had these things, and then I don't know what happened that the city stopped funding them, I guess, and these things all disappeared, and then the property value went down as well. So that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, um, I mean, so basically, we've had these things. We already know that these things work. And my question to you then would be, if you have an idea of to why they stopped doing them, that would be my first question. And then my second question would be, how would you get them to start doing these things again? Because, Deep Side was not as good as Inverary, but it
right.
wasn't as bad as it is now. I, you know.
Exactly. I wish I knew the answer as to why it stopped. But what I have done is I've reviewed the city's budget,
Hmm.
and we are top heavy,
Hmm.
extremely top heavy in
Hmm.
regards to salary. If you look on my website again, you will notice that the Parks Department, our Parks and Recreation Department, 80% of the budget is being utilized for salaries, wages, benefits,
Wow.
and insurance. So that
Wow.
means 20% of the resources that are left go into the park maintenance. So that is one of our main problems. This is why our parks look the way they look. When you look at our police departments, we're spending more on our services. We have fewer people. So what we're doing is we're paying the ones that we have more money. So what we need to do in order to correct the situation is to establish a zero balance program with performance outcome. Every single line item that goes into your budget has to go through that performance outcome. It
Hmm.
should be where you come in with the budget, you rubber stamp it, and then you move on just because you want to go home and have dinner. No, you need to sit down, analyze that budget, and
Hmm.
determine exactly what you're going to do. If I'm going to give the police department $10 million, I need to see what you're going to do with that $10 million, not
Oh,
just take.
definitely.
And exactly, because that's what we're doing now. We're just taking and we're just throwing money at the problems. We're
Hmm.
coming up with short-term solutions instead of long-range goals.
So, and listen to what you're saying about the Parks and Recreation Department. I'll use that as an example.
Mhm.
Um, so basically, if they're doing 80% in salaries, the other 20% is probably going to go towards things like their vehicles, fixing the vehicles, and the upkeep of that. So by the time you're done with all those things, and gas for the vehicles and all that, because I mean they have a lot of vehicles. So, so by the time you're done, you only put in like maybe 5 or 10% into the park.
Exactly. And that's why our parks look the way they look. I mean, if you go onto my website, you will see I did a cost breakdown on every single park within the city. And you would really be surprised at the amount of resource that we devote to our parks. And West Kinloch Park, which is the park located right down the street from me, doesn't have running water, doesn't have a basketball goal. The equipment has been there since I want to say 1980, 82. I
Wow.
mean, and I'm like, we're spending over 500. and $28,000 a year, and you can't get a basketball net, you can't get new equipment. I mean, I mean, it's just amazing when you actually look at what's taking place. It's just wait.
I would be curious to see how much they're spending on the park on 55th and 19th Street. I
Which
would
one would be
on 55th and 19th where with the where City Hall used to be years ago.
what's the name of that park? I wish I knew the name of the park because I have a list of them here.
I can't remember the name of it. It used to be where City Hall was. City Hall was there years ago, and then they moved it up into Inverary, and now they moved it back onto Oakland Park Boulevard. But it used to be there years ago. There used to be a Boys and Girls Club. But I remember when that park used to look really nice.
Yeah,
you know,
all our parks used to look really nice.
Yeah,
yeah. But like I said, once you go to my website, you will see the actual. It's so surprising because once you see the total amount of dollars spent versus the amount of people that we have at those parks, it just is mind blowing. Mind blowing.
And then it becomes a catch-22. It's like, people aren't going to the parks because they don't look good, and then they're going to say, well, we're not fixing them up because people aren't coming. But if they fix them, people will come. Remember that movie? Remember that movie, Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. Yeah. Wow. I'm really glad to have you on tonight because I really, you opened my eyes, and I have known Lauderhill, since 91, 92. That's how long I've known Lauderhill. So for me, I've seen Lauderhill go up, from up to down, and now, hopefully we'll see it go back up again because there are a lot of good things, and I used to see a lot of good things in Lauderhill. The movie theater that is no longer there. So many things were there. Denny's that people really recognize. Actually, even like the banks. There used to be a bank right on the corner where the laundromat is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It is so surprising because one of our problems as a city is that we don't have any anchor stores located in Lauderhill. And with that being said, that means the tax dollars have to come from the residents. And we lost Target over there on Commercial.
Right.
We have no big stores. So when it comes to the bills that are still coming in, they still have to be paid. So they're looking to the residents to pay those bills. And if you notice, our population here in Lauderhill is a much older generation. They can't go out and work like you and I. They can't get out there and do physical labor or extend, 12, 13-hour days. They just can't do it. But the city is still taxing them. And there's no one to say, well, you know what? We got to stop. We need to take a moment, suspend all of this spending that we're doing, and start realizing, hey, some of the things that we're doing, we need to start evaluating. That's our biggest problem. We're not doing it. We're just rubber stamping everything in hopes that one day somebody will come in and give us a tons of money. But that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. And then also, Steve, to tell you about our education system here. The education system here in our city is appalling. And again, once you look on my website, www.kelvinhaynes2020.com, you will see.
I missed the 2020 part. Hold on, let me change that. Yeah, let me change that. KelvinHaynes2020.com.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at our education piece, you will notice that I've placed two particular websites that will take you directly to the schools. Our schools are ranked from 1 to 10 on this website, with 3 being the state minimum. Our schools are at 1 and 2.
And honestly, I want to touch on that one too because I volunteer a lot with Broward County Schools. And I am the chair of the Diversity and Equity Committee, which is, and most people don't know that committee, but basically, it was formed about 30 years ago. Oops, got some feedback there a second ago. um, but the Diversity and Equity Committee was formed about 30 years ago because what was happening was, and basically, it as blunt as it can be, the white schools were getting all the new equipment, and then as they were done with them, they were pouring them into the black schools. Black schools were not getting any new books, any new equipment, or anything of that sort. So they were sued. The school board was sued by a group called Community Caring About Our Children, and they won the lawsuit. The group won the lawsuit. That's why now the same things need to be offered in every school. Now, that to say that one of the schools that we do site visitations every year, and we do a few different sites, and one of the schools that we looked at was Parkway, and and Parkway is in, when I tell you, deplorable conditions. I mean, it's something that you would probably look at and you would say, people would be like, oh, it's in a third world country or whatever. No, it's right there in Lauderhill. The mold, the mildew, I mean, it's like you could go there on the first day of school and you're going to see a school that looks worse than the other schools in out west look, on their last day of school. I'm serious. I mean, it's like, it's to the point that people have to wake up and see it. But yeah. So when you talk about the schools, in Lauderhill, I can't think of one school that is actually on par, not even above, not even, but I can't even think of one school that is. I mean, whether it's Royal Oaks didn't open on time. Not Royal Oaks, Royal Palm didn't open on time because they still had a lot to do, a lot of cleaning to do, a lot of things just to get it up to where it should have been. Challenger, all these other schools. I mean, I could go down the list, but so I'm glad you mentioned that part. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I'm glad you mentioned that as well. I went with the Homeowners Association here at West Kenlark, and I had to take them to the school to see, went to Larkdale Elementary School. We conducted a tour. I graduated. I went to Larkdale, and this is going back a number of years. Larkdale was built back in 1960. And when I walked in, it was like I just came back from summer vacation. I mean, I was so distraught. I couldn't even talk to the principal to explain to her, because she was saying the air conditioners break down 3 times a week.
Yeah.
The garbage disposal doesn't work.
Yes.
Mold in the bathrooms. There are no hand soap, no sanitizer, no paper towels, no warm water. There were so many different problems. The ceiling tile. I mean, I've taken several pictures that I'd love to send to you so you can see.
Oh, I've been to these schools. I've seen them. I have pictures of my own of a lot of these schools.
But what aggravates me is when I brought it to the commission, I said, we got to do something. And they said, well, it's not really the city's responsibility. So I said, but how is it not the city's responsibility? Because if you're going to say, hey, buy a home in Lauderhill, and our schools are rated 1 and 2, we're not even at the state minimum, versus Coral Springs, where their schools are 8, 9, and 10. I think I'm going to go to Coral Springs, not Lauderhill.
Exactly.
One thing I found out, which was really surprising, is that in working this campaign, a lot of the personnel that work in Lauderhill don't live in Lauderhill.
Exactly.
And you know what, sir? Do you know what Lauderhill is? Do you know the crime? Have you seen the schools? One of the firefighters said, I live in Coral Springs. I would never, ever move into Lauderhill. I'm here because they pay very well, but I'm not moving to Lauderhill. I'm not going to take my child from an A school and put him into a D school.
I've had police officers say that to me. I've known a lot of police officers that worked in Lauderhill, and that's one of the things that they say. Oh, I'd never live here, but you're working here.
Exactly.
And it's like working at McDonald's and go, oh, I'll never eat this food. Then why are you working there?
I mean, right?
So you're serving it to me. Serving the food to me, but you don't want to eat it. So it's like, and it's so crazy. And I mean, honestly, and I mean, and even with the schools, we could take that to another level as well, because I could show you Stranahan High School, which is in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Um, and Stranahan High School, the kids eat under a tent because the cafeteria is so small that it doesn't accommodate the amount of kids. It accommodates about 250 students, but every lunch period has about anywhere from 600. I guess after COVID, it's going to be less, about 600 to 700 students in a lunch period. So when you take the 250 that can eat in the cafeteria, the rest of them are eating under this huge tent, almost like what you have in in the parks. Now, the crazy thing about that is, when it's hot outside, they're sweating. When it's raining, they have to walk to the tent with their food. When it's windy, all these different things, they're susceptible to the elements. But the crazy part about it is that was part of the original lawsuit 30 years ago.
30 years.
Now, now the school board. Now hear this. Now the school board is saying, well, we don't have the budget. That's always the thing. The budget. The budget. No, that was 30 years ago. Now, Monarch High School was built 26 years ago, and they just got a brand new building that opened up this year. So you were able to give a school that was built 26 years ago a brand new building, but a school that was built in 1952 that was supposed to have a new cafeteria 30 years ago, you can't even give them that yet.
No.
That's why our people need to get up and vote. Right? I tell people all the time, and this is why I like to do this, because I want them to hear the candidates. I want them to hear what you are passionate about, so that when they're going to the polls, they say, oh, that's that guy that said we need better schools.
Exactly. Because that's what it is. The kids at Larkdale don't have air conditioning, don't
Yeah.
have the security cameras that you have at Endeavor. I mean, the principal says when it rains, the parking lot is flooded because they have poor drainage. The kids have to walk through the water just to get into the classroom. This school still has jalousie windows. I don't know if you remember that, Steve.
Yeah.
Going back, but jalousie windows in
Yeah.
2020.
And the thing is, when you turn it, the knobs are stripping, so you can't even open and close them properly.
Exactly. And, and it's funny. And I mentioned that to one of our school board members, and she doesn't believe it. Dr. Osgood refuses to believe. I'm like, Dr. Osgood, do you actually believe that I would present a problem to you? And
you know what? You know what? I'm gonna and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I'm gonna tell you. And it sounds funny, but I have to defend that sometimes they don't know, and I'll tell you why. When I was the chair of Central Area Advisory, we had our meetings at different schools. So I was at Piper High School. We had a meeting at Piper, and when we walked into the meeting room, I mean, their mini auditorium looks like a crime scene. All the tapes, because they have tape wherever they block off chairs that aren't working. So it's like the whole front row, the chairs are broken. At one point, they even had a regular chair from a classroom in the space of a chair because the seat was missing, and all these different things. So the principal, she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but we don't have any another location that you guys can use." Then I said, "Oh, okay, no problem." So my phone rang, and it was Mr. Runcie. So I had to go outside, and I went out to meet him, to bring him and Brian Katz, the head of security, the chief of security, to bring them in. When they walked in, well, first off, before they walked in, when she found out Runcie was here, she was like, "Oh my God, we got to give you guys a better place. We can't let him see this." I was like, "Why not?" She goes, "No, he can't. He can't see this." I was like, "How is it going to change if he never sees it?" So she kept trying to give us another space, and I'm like, "No, I want this." So when I brought him in, he goes, "Oh my God, how long has it been like this?" And I was like, "Well, the maintenance guy said it's been like this for at least the 8 years that he's been here." And he goes, "Oh, we can't have this. We got to do something about this." And he got on top of it to get them to get a new auditorium. But that would have never happened if I had followed her lead and we changed the room. So they're so busy trying to do the trying to look good in the board members' eyes, that the board members never see the problems. And even as chair of some of these committees, when I go and they show me the good stuff, I'm like, no, that's not what I want to see. I want to see the problems. I can't help you if you don't show me your problems. And
Exactly.
and then they start to go, oh well, Mr. Barrow, and then they start telling me like Mr. Mateer over at Parkway, great guy, awesome guy,
Mhm.
and he actually reached out, to me, and I talk to him all the time about different issues because they don't have the cleaning staff that they need to make that school what it should be. And and I tell parents all the time, go to your child's school and ask them to see the cafeteria, and you'll see where your child's food is being prepared.
I found out that the school at West Kent Lark, they have to get the food prepared next door. So they have to literally go next door, prepare the food at the Wingate Oaks, and then transport it back over to Larkdale, which is really, really surprising.
Well, that's one of the reasons that they want to merge Broadview and Parkway, because Broadview actually has a good cafeteria. You know, trust me, it's so crazy. When I tell people these things, they don't believe me.
And one of the things I asked one of the school board members, well, one of their assistants, was that back in 2014, we had an $800 million bond. And he said, look, we've gotten the 800 million wasn't enough. So we asked for 190 million. So they gave us. So now we have 980 million. And I said, okay. He said, but we need 3 billion to get the school straightened out. So I said, okay, show us what you did with the 980 million. Oh, well, we can't do that. We spent that money already. What did you spend it on? Well, I can't tell you that. But you got $980 million of our money and you can't tell us?
Well,
No. Not right now.
they actually can tell you. They don't want to tell you, but they can, and you can call up. Oh gosh, I can't remember the department now. But if you go, there are so many different ones. Actually, you can even go to the budget meetings, and now because they have them virtual, you can go to the bond oversight committee meetings. You can go to the facilities meetings. You can go to so many different meetings to see what they're spending on. But honestly, the problem that we're having is that we keep throwing good money after bad. We have we're trying to fix problems where we should just replace them. Like, okay, we're gonna go to Parkway. Oh, so Parkway, what they need to do, they have like three areas that they don't use because they've been deemed unsafe years ago, many
Mhm.
years ago. But yet we try to fix them. Why are we fixing them when we could just tear them down and build a new facility?
Exactly.
It's like anyone that's had an old car would tell you, I'm tired of putting oil in that car because it's leaking out. I'm tired of the transmission slipping on me all the time. I'm
Yeah,
tired of the power steering going out. I'm tired of it making these loud kickback noises, and I'm tired of putting money into it. I'm just gonna buy a new car.
exactly. And be done with it. And that's what we need to do. I mean, because
So
we're at that point now where we're just, we're focusing on short term goals instead of long range solutions. That's where our problem comes in.
so my question to you then is, how are you going to make this happen when you win, or should you win as commissioner?
Well, what I plan on doing is establishing through the city a program and a group where we will go out and we will start looking at all of the resources for the schools that are within our city. We as a city have to start focusing on our own schools. I was advised by a member by an attorney who works for the school system. He stated in Parkland, there was a facility that they needed built.
Hmm.
Parkland kept going after the school board and going after the school board. So they said, you know what, let's make a deal. Give us the money. We'll hire the contractor, we'll hire the attorney, we'll provide you with all of the information that you need so we can get this school built. They built the school, they provided them the information, and it was done. So if the school board is willing to work with Parkland in that same situation, why we as Lauderhill can't say, hey, you know what? Can we get the same deal that they have? Give us the opportunity to do it. We'll hire
I'll,
the and we'll do and make sure it gets done.
I'll tell you two reasons why they're not going to do that. Number
Mhm.
one is they don't think that we have the same skills and capabilities as our friends in Parkland. That's number one. I'll be straightforward with you.
And I
I'll
think
be honest.
you're right.
I'll be honest with you. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I don't think we're as organized as our friends in Parkland to make that happen, because we have a lot of contractors in the Lauderhill area. We have a lot of contractors in Lauderdale Lakes area. But the thing is, because we're so busy trying to be the big guy, we're missing out on the contracts, and then we end up subcontracting for the other guy. If we can come together and organize, that would work. But we would also need to have, again, going back to what you said before about the city saying it's not their responsibility, we need to have a good education committee or commission or whatever they want to call it, because different cities call it differently. Like Fort Lauderdale has one, Lauderdale Lakes has one. But the thing is, when you go to these meetings, you might see 5 people at the one in Lauderdale Lakes, but you go to the one in Fort Lauderdale and you're going to see 50 people at that one. We have to start to we need to put. I mean, I was running for school board member. I don't know if you know, but I was running for school board member before. Yep. And one of the things that I kept telling parents all the time is you need to donate, which is another thing too. Guys, go to his website and donate. You got to donate to these candidates. Candidates need your donation. The candidates are not asking for 1,000 or whatever. If you can give it, I'm sure every candidate would appreciate it. But $5 works, $10 works. If you get 10 people, if you get 100 people giving you $10, it's the same $1,000. So guys, donate to candidates. Go to his website; it's right there. Donate. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, if people donated to my campaign the same way that they got out there and bought clothes to their for their kids for back to school, then we would see a difference in the school board system. But they're so worried about buying the clothes for their kids to go back to school that they're not concerned about the board member who's making the decision about when and if your child will go back to school.
Exactly. And that's so true. I think it's so amazing to me that we need to start changing our priorities. I remember I was talking with school board member Robin Bottom a few months ago, and there was an issue that came up where they said, we're going to take children from the East and bring them over to the West so we can balance the schools out. She said they mentioned that on Friday. Tuesday morning, there was over 500 people saying, no, our kids
definitely.
We're not going over there. We're not putting our kids from these A schools into those D and F schools. Not going to happen. So, of course, within a matter of minutes, the issue was taken off the agenda and it was never brought up again. So we need to have that same type of momentum. You know what I mean? We need to be able to say, hey, you know what? If this person here is supporting us, he knows what our values are, he understands where we're coming from, then we need to support them. We need to not only support him, but we need to start going to the meetings. We need to start being more informed. You know what I mean? Everyone has a smartphone, a cell phone. Just take a few minutes out of your day and understand and listen into what's taking place. Because there's so much going on. And my daughter attended high school at Hollywood Hills. I'll never forget when she called me one day and she said, Dad, they don't have any toilet paper. What do you mean they don't have any toilet paper? That's ridiculous. So when I called the principal, she had to leave work to go to the store to buy toilet paper. I'm like, how is it when our state budget has over $50 billion in reserves, money that is just sitting there? I'm not talking about your hurricane funds. I'm not talking about your reserves for anything else. This is just extra money that we have left over. And we can't take and dip into that $50 billion and buy toilet paper for the schools. But no one goes out and says these things. And this is the thing. The resources are there. We allow them to tell us we don't have the money. Oh, well, they don't have the money. Forget about it. We're not going to do anything. But we've got to change that mentality. You have the money, and I know you do.
You know, the thing is, the problem is, everyone thinks that every school looks like their school. You know, and I think people would be outraged if they knew that other schools didn't look like their school. When I tell people that you can go to, and when I mention Monarch High School, people are like, what? Where is that? Is that in Broward? It's in Broward, but the reason why most people don't know about it is because it's one of those hidden secrets. It's one of those schools that we talk about Stoneman Douglas and Cypress Bay and all those. Monarch look at them and say, "Oh, really? You go to that school?" You know, Monarch is one of those schools that I mean, and here's the thing. Coconut Creek High School and Monarch are in the same area, the same district.
Right.
Totally different. Totally different. Totally different. I mean, Monarch looks like a private school. Cypress Bay looks like a private school. Stoneman Douglas, all these things, they get what they want and boom, like that. These schools are, and before people start to say, oh, well, you know, look at the area that they're in, the property value, that's not the way it works.
No.
It's not by property value. It's per pupil allocation, and even that isn't even accurate because it should be. It's like $8,000 per pupil that a school gets, but then you have a school that has a high enrollment that is still getting less money than the one that has a lower enrollment. It's like, who did the math on that one? I mean, you know,
right? You know, we have to get involved. See, we have to get out there. We have to get involved. We have to let people know that most importantly, we have to let our children know that their voices can be heard and action can be seen. You know, we have to start motivating ourselves. You know what I mean? And to me, it's not going to change. Things will not change until we change them. You know?
So let me ask you, and well, before I get to this next question, one of the other things too I wanted to mention to parents is definitely get out there, go to the SAC meetings, the SAF meetings, and most of the parents are looking at probably saying, what's a SAC meeting? What's a SAF meeting? Right. Call your school and find out. All right, but you guys need to start going to these meetings like if Jay-Z and Beyonce were chairing the meeting. That's how y'all need to get there.
Exactly. You know, make them go right.
Go out there like if Blue Ivy was at your child's school. Go out there. Get out there.
That's exactly what I mean, Steve.
You know, but
we have to start doing.
But my question to you now is when it comes to crime in Lauderhill, what's your plan to curb that?
Well, again, once we establish the safe neighborhood districts, what I believe that will help us to, one, we need to take a look at our police department. We need to understand and utilize the resources that we have. We're paying an extremely high price for our police services. With that being said, we need to evaluate exactly what we're getting for our resources. Push comes to shove, we need to start looking at partnering up with other cities, providing a memorandum to where we can have other cities come in to provide mutual aid if that needs to be the case. Because we had a situation here that I can speak of on 19th Street. I don't know if you're familiar with 19th Street and 31st Avenue.
Yes.
There is an area called Lighthouse Point. I'm sure some of your listeners may be familiar with that. But about 3 weeks ago, there was a gang shootout. I mean, these guys are not using water guns. They're using AR-15s and assault weapons. So we've had 3 officers respond that refused to go in to address the situation until it settled down. So we, as a city, have to turn around and start analyzing and saying, look, if we have a problem, especially of a gang, then we need to contact the sheriff's office. Let us utilize those resources because we don't have a gang unit here in the city of Lauderhill. We have the gangs, but we don't have a unit. So we
wait. Okay, hold on. Let me wrap my mind around this. The police got to the shootout, but did not go in because it wasn't safe.
Correct.
Okay, now I just want to go back a little bit to something else here. Wasn't that the same problem that they had in Parkland and they went crazy over?
Exactly.
But it's okay if it happens in Lauderhill.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure this out now. Just trying to figure this out. Now, just a crazy question. Where's our sheriff in all this conversation? Now, I know Lauderhill has its own police department, but we can't just go, well, they got their own, we can't go in. I mean, that's Broward County Sheriff's Office. Lauderhill is in Broward County. So Broward County has tanks, they have armored vehicles, they have all these different things that they could have gone in with. I mean, Broward County has its own little militia, its own little army, and I got pictures I could show you. I was in one of those tanks when they first reopened the runway on the at the airport at Fort Lauderdale Airport. They brought out all the tanks and everything out there to show off all that stuff. And my daughter and I went through all that stuff. But and I could show you that they have the stuff like the military. So, Sheriff Tony, where were you?
You tell me.
I'm just asking. You know? I'm asking for a friend.
Exactly. We're paying taxes to the city, to the county, and to the state. And there is, I guess, an unwritten code amongst the police departments that if I don't call you to come in, you don't come in. We need to eliminate that because we are in dire straits. We really are.
But hold on. But again, let's go back to the other part. When the shooting happened in Parkland, they didn't get a written invitation in Boston Gold. They went.
Yep.
So apparently that's not. So this is people, get out and vote. Come on, you guys got to get out and vote. I mean, seriously, you don't know how it upsets me when I hear people say things like, "Oh, my vote don't count. It doesn't matter." Vote.
I mean, you have to. I mean, if you understand, if you even understand history, Adolf Hitler was elected on 2 votes. 2 votes separated this man from destroying the world. So you can understand the level and importance of voting. It's not just about my vote doesn't count. If you're not willing to put forth the effort to go out and vote, then you can't speak. You can't complain. Then you continue to have the problems that you have. So you have to get out and vote. You have to make certain that you tell your family, your friends, everybody, you push them out to vote. Like we used to do back growing up. Steve, you remember how when you came home from school on election day, your parents grabbed everybody and you all went to the polling places and you voted and you met with them. That's what we have to get back to. We have to. That's the only way we're going to make effective change.
That's what I did. My daughter always used to go with me to vote, always. And on her 18th birthday, the first thing she did was register to vote.
Exactly, you know, and that's what's so important because you're starting them off young and you're letting them go. Because, you know, one of the things that, and I'm sure you probably are familiar with this, which I think was a brilliant idea, to do it out in Weston. If you look on my website, you will see that there is a program where they're taking kids in Weston and they're teaching them how the government works.
Yes.
It's called Weston University. This is the type of program we need here in Lauderhill. They take those children and they do a 6-month course. So you're going to come in, you're going to see what the mayor does, you're going to see what the commissioner does, you're going to see what the Parks and Rec director does, the finance director, and you're going to learn about all those different departments. And then you'll be able to turn around and say, you know, okay, now I understand what goes on in my city, how things work, how things transpire. And the program has been such an overwhelming success that Mayor Hirsch said he was one of the first ones to go into the program, had the opportunity, graduated, left Weston, okay, went to Harvard and came back to Weston. He said, because I learned about how the government works. And now he ran and became mayor. So the thing of it is that these programs are very effective. We need to start producing programs like this that will teach children, hey, it's more than just someone writing a ticket, okay? This government is very important. You need to understand how it operates. You need to understand how it functions, because when you have a problem, you know, you're lost. But to provide a program such as this, it's a beautiful thing. This is what I want to bring to the city of Lauderhill, these programs, because they're effective, they work, and they get more people involved. And that's what we need right now.
What about internship programs and things like that for the kids? You know, so that they can learn from the inside, but also some of the jobs. How are you looking to bring some jobs to the kids and even now to the parents, especially now that after COVID, a lot of them lost their jobs. How are we looking at bringing jobs to these households, bringing some money in?
Well, here's one of the things that I was thinking about. We have the Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce, which is, according to the current commission, is in bad shape. We need to revamp the city of Lauderhill. Lauderhill needs to become a destination. So in other words, we need to provide programs to say, I don't know if you ever watch commercials from like Michigan, from California,
Yes.
come to Michigan, we can do, we'll give you tax breaks. In the
Yep.
state of Florida, if you open up a business in a low income area, you will get state tax breaks. We need to start exploiting these different tax breaks and taking it out and showing it not just here in Lauderhill, not just here in Broward County, but around the world. You know what? Lauderhill is a great place. If you're sitting home in Michigan and you're tired of the snow, you need to come to Lauderhill because you want to know what tax breaks. You're going to have better schools, and that brings in income to the city. And we need to change the direction in which we're going. You know what I mean, Steve? This is what the city needs. We need to revamp ourselves. We need to turn around and start bringing in big businesses into this area. And once we do that, that's going to help get the wheels turning. We also need to invest more into our own businesses. We need more public-private partnerships. The city has a lot of work to be done. We need to start utilizing the residents and the businesses that are here because
Yes.
our tax dollars right here in our city. And
I hate when I see that city need work done, and not just Lauderhill, but even Broward County and different places, and I'm seeing people that are from Tampa and from Orlando. I'm like, what? You mean to tell me Broward County don't have anybody that can do this work?
Broward County, and the funny thing, which is true, we even have ordinances in Broward County that require living wage ordinances where you have to pay a certain amount to individuals who work on county projects. You have a certain percentage that's built into the contract where you have to have residents from Broward County. We need to start doing that here in the city. It's not that we're trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to change the direction.
Exactly.
These things are being tested and have been done and have been proved. All we have to do is go out there and start utilizing. Did you know that we have in our downtown Fort Lauderdale area, the legislative delegation for the state? It's right there. Our city needs to go over there and talk to those guys. Say, hey, you know what? I don't know if you're familiar with the legislative delegation, but what it is that every state representative and every state senator goes to the governmental center and they have an office over there. So the cities also have an organization where all of the 31 cities get together. It's called the League of Cities. They have meetings once a month and you talk about things that are going on in your city. Well, my city has a high crime problem. I know, okay, Parkland, you don't. What are you guys doing to resolve those problems? So you're able to talk with those individuals. Then once you establish, okay, we need more funding, then you walk next door to the legislative delegation where you have Thurston and DeBose and all of those people. You say, hey, look, when you go back to Tallahassee, this is what I need you to bring home. And ladies and gentlemen, hold them accountable. If you ain't bringing it home, it's like a business. Steve, you get up in the morning, you go to work and you don't do your job. How long do you think they're going to keep you?
Not too long. And that's what we need to do. We need to and that's why I keep telling people keep saying I call out some people and people say I got a lot of emails about politicians that I called out, but I mean, let's be for real. These guys are great people. I can smoke a cigar with you, I could drink with you, I can hang out with you, whatever the case may be. But if you are in Tallahassee and you are not doing your job, we need to send you home and send someone else at Tallahassee that can do it. So I don't care how long you've been there. I don't care how much friends you have. I mean, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, you start to see, as a matter of fact, if you look at those palm cards that you see that they hand out on November 3rd, you see all the friends on there. You're going to see Dale Holness, Alcee Hastings, all these people are on there that is like just the boys club or just a bunch of people that know each other. Exactly. People, come on, we got to stop voting like that. We got to vote for the people who are doing something, because like you just said, if Parkland is getting it, if you see representatives like Farmer and all these guys bringing it for their areas, why can't, and don't get me wrong, Chef Jones is a good guy, cool guy. But I mean, we need to see more things coming home. Anika Onfroy, she got up there, she did her thing. She's trying to bring some money home, but we need people. We need our other politicians to help her out. She's new, and some of our seasoned ones need to be able to say, "Look, this is what we need to do. We're going to come together. We're going to do this."
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. To me, Steve, business is business and barbecue is barbecue.
Yep.
That's just it. I mean, there's no mixing of the two. You know what I
Yep.
mean? We need to understand that our present circumstances don't determine where we can go. They merely determine where we start.
Exactly.
And we need to start right now and holding even me. Once elected, hold me accountable. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And if I'm not doing the job, you out of there. And it wouldn't be a problem. But we need to apply that same methodology across the board. All of our local candidates, all of our state candidates, and let them know. Because I'm telling you, the reason Debbie Watson and Schultz and everyone else stays in office because they bring home the resources.
oh,
Here,
definitely.
oh yeah, I like I like this person. I like that person. He's got a nice haircut.
No,
He's
no.
got a smile. But they're not
In
bring
our
home.
community, is, oh, he's black, we're gonna vote for him.
Exactly.
I remember I went to an NAACP meeting, and one thing that Marsha Ellison said that stuck out, and I thought it was so funny. She said, "All skin folk ain't kinfolk," and I
Yep.
was like, "Wow." I love that. I love that.
She hit the nail right on the head with that one,
Yep.
and that's true. We need to understand, we need to make certain that we are voting for people who are going to take care of us. That's what it's all about. Don't be voting these people in if they're not going to be able to do anything for us. And don't be afraid to send them home, you know?
Exactly. I mean, and the people don't realize that they have the power, even in the middle of you got power, people. Y'all got power. People don't realize it. You don't have to wait till the next election to get someone out of office. You know, people don't realize that. You don't like what the person is doing, get a petition together. Come on, man. There are ways to do it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. There's so many ways to do it, so many things that we could do. We have so much power in our hands. Voting is the November 3rd is the biggest transference of power in the world, not just in Broward County, but in the world. The United States is a superpower, and we take on November 3rd, and we decide who's going to be leading not just our presidential, but our county, our city. And you're more impacted from your city races than you are from your presidential races. So
Definitely.
again, you have to understand that this is a very, very serious event. This is one of the most important things in your life because the person who you put in office determines your water bill, your light bill, how much you pay for car insurance, if you pay car insurance at all. So all factors are involved when you go to vote. And
Yep.
that's imperative that you stop. You say, I need to review these candidates. I need to see what they're talking about. Do your homework, do your research. That's why I put tons of information on my site about issues. It's not about me. Government is not about the person. Government is about the people. If
Yes.
you want to sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk to me, that's great. I'll tell you my whole life story. But the thing of it is, it shouldn't be focused on me personally. It's about what needs to be done, what issues we're bringing forth, and how you plan to handle those issues. Because we have a lot of work to be done.
All right. I gotta run because try to keep the show under an hour so I can put it on Instagram.
Okay.
You know how the gram is. They don't
Yeah.
only let you put up an hour.
Yeah.
But I really want to thank you for being on the show. I mean, and you. I love the things that you're talking about. I love what you're saying. It sounds like like you have a good plan. Sounds like you've been around for a long time, so you know the direction. The potential for Lauderhill because you've seen what Lauderhill was before, and you know how it can be again. So I like that. I definitely like that.
Well, I thank you for taking the time out and hosting the show because I believe this avenue is very important, not just for me, but for everyone. And I would love for you to even come on to our show, our town hall talks. We do a town hall talk on Sundays. So I'd love to have you come on to the town hall talk and express and tell the residents about you. We'd love to hear more from you as well.
All right. And they can find out more about the town hall talks on your website.
Yes, sir. It's listed on the website. We hold it every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thanks very much, Kelvin. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you in that commission seat.
Hey, you got it. Very much. And just remember, I always said, one determined person can make a significant difference, but a group of determined people can change the course of history.
I like that.
Leave you with that one. Have a great evening. Thanks again.
You too. Okay. All right. Bye. All right, guys, there you go. You just heard from Kelvin, and I mean, seriously, let's go ahead and make this happen. All right, let's go ahead and get out there and vote. You know, again, as I always tell people, I encourage you to get out there and talk to the candidate. His information is right there. Reach out to him. All right. Talk to you guys later. As always,